Is anybody going to stop the lap record holder here? Tim Reeves, lap record 155.837, set in 2013. Ian Guy and Jed Pilmore-Brady, Gary Horsepole and James Connell. Pole position, we have a reverse grid, don't forget here. Andy Peach and Ken Edwards. Andy Peach making the Suzuki really sing. Ben Holland, Stuart Ramsey, what a great run. They were on the podium in race one. Can they go one better this time? Alan Founds and Tom Peters very much in the hunt in the Cup race, riding this long bike for the first season. And there, Carl Cox, sponsor of Tim and Tristan Reeves. Carl Cox, an international DJ, absolutely loves his motorsport and has got quite a presence in the BSB paddock. And he's here in the sunshine, as indeed is a huge crowd, several thousands of people lining the Snetterton 300 circuit. 10 laps again in the sunshine here at Snetterton with a reverse grid. Where's Tim Reeves all the way down the order? He's on row 5 alongside Ricky and Ryan on the JG Speedfit Kawasaki. But it's Gary Horsepole getting the drop. No, it isn't. It's Ian Guy. He's been doing a bit of hill climbing recently, so he knows how to get it off the line. Ian Guy leading. Chris Walker, Ashley Hawes sorting themselves out, but it's another retirement again. They're out of it. What a waste of a weekend for Chris Walker. No points at all. His championship challenge evaporating in the sun here. Ian Guy and Jed Pilmore-Brady lead then, and they're all stringing out behind. Lots of room for everybody here. Ricky Stevenson, Ryan Charwood giving Andy Peach another bump there, but Andy Peach is not to be messed with, I can tell you. He's a tough cookie. Andy Peach and Ken Edwards have still, and there Chris pushing it off, so their weekend has come to nothing. 0 for them. Already up to second place, Tim and Tristan chasing down the vastly experienced former Grand Prix campaigner of many seasons ago, Ian Guy. When he has the occasional ride in British Championship, Ian Guy acquits himself very well indeed. And Jed Pilmore-Brady doing a great job on the back, but through sweeps imperiously Tim Reeves. Tim and Tristan on target then for another victory. These guys, Ricky and Ryan, left a little bit in the traffic here. They've got to make their way past Andy Peach. Andy Peach has got 2 wheels on the grass, 3 wheels on the grass. And through goes Stevens. Their Horsepole, pole position now, looking good. Birchall right in the thick of the traffic. Look how quickly the passengers flick from side to side. And number 31, Barry James and young Jack Tritton have my full admiration. Just look how they are going. They're playing catch up as well, coming through the field. On board then with Ricky and Ryan. Sliding underneath Rob Biggs and Ben Ransley, so they're making their way through. But look at Barry James, up to second place now. Barry James, that's an incredible performance. Ben Holland then having a stab at Ian Guy. The number 60, Hanafin Kawasaki, Ben Holland and Stuart Ramsey. And now Ricky Stevens rocketing past the traffic. Through he goes, 2 in 1 fell swoop past Gary Horsepole and Jimmy Connell. He knows he's got to get his head down and really charge, because already Reeves on lap 2 is out in front. Phil Bell with Phil Hyde. Tony Belsey normally does the business there, but he's suffering acutely with hand problems. On board with Andy Peach and Ken Edwards. Andy Peach now sponsoring his own outfit, Life Safety, and with Santander Salt assistance from Roger Body, of course, going past and really making that Suzuki sing. So he has gone past Rob Biggs, chasing Horsepole. Look at Ben and Tom Birchall on the Mitchells of Mansfield 600, leading the Cup class here in the race, but certainly not in the championship, because young Todd Ellis is doing that at the moment. They're chasing down then the reigning champions for the past 2 years, Ricky and Ryan. So these are guys at their peak on the JG Speedfit 1000cc Kawasaki, fending off determined challenge from the 600cc Yamaha, both long chassis of course, of Ben and Tom Birchall on the red and white Mitchells of Mansfield bike. And you can see how they lose out down the straight, obviously not carrying the same speed. Looking at the inside of Phil Bell and Phil Hyde. Phil Hyde working well. This man, not only an experienced passenger, but a very good solo rider as well. Sometimes helps out at training schools, and certainly Ron Haslam's school he's ridden at and entertained and trained at in bygone seasons. But Phil Hyde then, a very experienced passenger, doing a good job for the number 18, Phil Bell, proving to be something of an obstacle for Ricky Stevens and Ryan Charwood. They can't find their way past, and Ben Birchall is climbing all over the back of them. It's got to be now or never. Up the inside. Go, Ricky, go, go. Can he get past the two of them? And he does. Does it on the brakes. Underneath Phil Bell into Riches. Up then towards Montreal, the next right-hander, which is a very, very tight hairpin. Andy Peach then too, looking very good at Montreal. Here he goes. Round he goes, keeps it tight all the way round, then back into the left-hander of Palmer. Andy Peach and Ken Edwards, still this battle raging. Ben and Tom Birchall with Ian Guy. Ian Guy taking the wide line, but sweeping round, carrying immense corner speed. Ben and Tom Birchall in pursuit of Phil Bell. This is really interesting. And look at that second place for Barry James and Jack Tritton. That is nothing short of incredible. On board then with the Cup leader, Todd Ellis and Charlie Richardson, and they are now being overtaken, or should I say undertaken, by Steve Kershaw and Stuart Clark, who didn't make race one. Brian Gray is into the pits with retirement, mechanical failure. Well, it's all going on here at Snetterton, I can tell you. Ben Holland absolutely had a fight on his hands to squeeze his way past Barry James, who's astonished everybody in the paddock and everybody, including me in the commentary box. Good to see Barry James back. Good to see young Jack Tritton with him. What a season they're going to have if they can ride like this. They're not booked in at every round. Hope to see them back very shortly. Phil Bell then, still keeping Ben and Tom Birchall at bay. And we're only on lap 4. We're not yet at half distance. Andy Peach has had a massive scrap throughout the race, and he rockets past Gary Horsepole there. And James Connell, just look at Ricky Stevens, the closing speed on the back then of Barry James. In on the brakes, but there was no room at all. This is going to be a really good scrap. They're all 1000cc, they're all big bikes, they're all Kawasaki's, they're all very quick. The JG Speedfit Cool Kawasaki of Ricky Stevens and Ryan Charwood on the back of the bunch here fighting. They know full well that the man out in front, Tim and Tristan Reeves, is stealing yet more valuable points from them. Can Barry James hold his own against these established crews? He's doing a great job, I can tell you. This is one of the few men in recent seasons who's beaten Tim Reeves, and he beat him twice at Brands Hatch. Absolutely memorable that was on home ground. So if Barry James can beat Tim Reeves at Brands Hatch, then he can certainly do a good job here at Snetterton. And look at this, almost contact, a gap opened up, through goes Ricky Stevens and Ryan Charwood. The Kawasaki is very, very quick. They're on the fastest part of the circuit, down towards the left-hander. Well, that was an amazing move. The other two guys must have wondered what hit them. Ben Holland in particular, and now he's got Ben Birchall breathing down his neck, and Phil Bell, Ian Guy, Andy Peach, Steve Kershaw, Gary Horsepole. Through they come. How quick do you want it? I'm sorry, passengers, if I'm not name checking you in apps so quickly. We haven't got time. Andy Peach and Ken Edwards, there you are, Ken. You've got your name in now. They're going really, really well. These are old sparring partners, Andy Peach and Ian Guy. They've shared the awning and shared transport for many, many seasons. Best of buddies, worked together on more than one occasion. And Steve Kershaw then on the Express Tyres Blink Bonnie Kawasaki with no points at all in race one, didn't even get to the line, is doing his darndest to get some here. Past Peach he goes. Steve Kershaw then, having had 2016 completely out, resting from injuries sustained at the end of 2015, has surprised everybody in the paddock with his speed and determination. It's a new found, very calm, very confident Steve Kershaw, number 29, that we see here at Snetterton. And Stuart Clark has just slotted in there beautifully. They ride so well together. Ian Guy with Jed Pilmore Brady, this another pair who have gelled very well. On the Yangi Racing black bike, they're Rob Biggs and Ben Ransley, number 5, and Gary Horsepole having a look at the inside as they're away to. These crews very similarly matched for speed. In fairness to Rob Biggs, he's been suffering with a mystery illness as well in the early part of the season, not yet cured. A number of blood tests and all sorts of tests taking place, but no conclusive evidence as to what actually ailed him. He just runs out of energy. And that's frustrating when you know you can do it and sometimes you run out of puff. Well, that's enough to get anybody seething. Andy Peach then, still very much in touch with Kershaw here, but it's Kershaw who's got the verdict. Through he goes then. Andy Peach past Steve Kershaw. Well, that took a fair pair of bricks to do that, and Andy Peach did a great job through on the inside at Coram. That is very fast. Down towards the left-hander now as they sweep round. It just tightens up, then Murray's the left-hander, they're at it. That's been reworked. That was always a difficult champagne chicane. Don't worry about it, I've got champagne on the brain. Had a bit of a party last night, but that's another story. On lap 8 of 10, Andy Peach then. Andy Peach with Ken Edwards. And look at Kershaw, must have a problem. Kershaw is slowing. Ian Guy is going, no disrespect to Ian. Kershaw has been so rapid, is slowing, so he's plagued with problems here. Still this battle between Rob Biggs and Gary Horsepole. That's going on. Yeah, we're seeing a slowing Steve Kershaw here. This is definitely a mechanical problem. Can he bring it home? Well, 6 miles to do. It's a big ask. Rob Biggs and Ben Ransley, teammates now, because they too are sponsored by Ian Hamilton and Express Tyres. Very, very similar livery. And now teammates they are, but teammates they go past. So Rob Biggs and Kershaw out of the running. Retirement for Kershaw. Race leader Tim and Tristan Reeves, impeccable again here. So their unbeaten run continues. What a catastrophe for this pair. Such a shame. Second in the championship standings, but the chances are they won't be after today at Snetterton. But we still have a long way to go in the series. Oh, Phil Bell, a bit of a judder through there. So this battle raging between Ben Holland and Stuart Ramsey and Phil Bell and Phil Hyde. Phil Hyde throws his head down over the side. Just look at the agility of these passengers. Stuart Ramsey again, another world-class top flight passenger, holding down the rear wheel and allowing Ben Holland to get the drive. Barry James, Jack Tritton still leading the 600 on the final lap. The leaders on the final lap. These boys are now on their final lap. Over the line they go. Can Barry James keep Ben Birchall behind on the road? I tell you where he's going to go past. It'll be on corner speed, it won't be on the straights. Ben throws that 600 in. See how he closes, just look at that. Closes on the bend. Barry James then using all his experience. Jack Tritton looking nervously over his shoulder as he lines himself up for the left-hander. A quick look back to see where the Birchall boys are, and they are right in their wheel tracks. Fantastic race here. Come on, Barry, you can do it. Ben and Tom leading the World Championship with an unbeaten record as well. They are doing in the world similar to what Tim Reeves is doing, in fact identically to what Tim Reeves is doing in the British Championship. Total domination. Looking at the inside, no. Barry James riding a very, very canny race, and these go! Through they go. Ben saw the door open, fighting back now on the power. Barry James gets it back again. What a brilliant ride between this pair. Fantastic racing. It's all coming down to nip and tuck on the last lap, and it's going to be round Corams. The 600 will carry the corner speed round there. It's losing out dramatically on the straight as the Kawasaki of Barry James eases away. Absolutely brilliant. Over the line, or approaching the line then, Tim and Tristan Reeves for second victory in a row here. There he is, the body language says it's as simple as that, as he waves to Carl Cox's sponsor, who is on pit wall. Runner-up spot, second place for Ricky Stevens and Ryan Charwood. That'll put them up to second place in the championship, I'm sure, in the event of a no score by Steve Kershaw. Barry James claims that final podium spot. They are delighted, and most of all they kept Ben and Tom Birchall at bay. But there it is, nearly 20 minutes of racing done. Second victory in a row for Tim and Tristan Reeves. Let's have a look at confirmation. A delighted Carl Cox. Barry James, third place, incredible. Cup winners by a mile, Ben and Tom. Phil Bell, fourth in class, fifth on the road. Holland, Peach, Guy, Horsepole. Second cup runner, Todd Ellis, Chaz Richardson, ahead of John Holden and Mark Wilkes. That is not too shabby. They beat World Championship runners there into 13th place on the road. Alan Fountain, Tom Peters behind Holden. What a brilliant race.